Tracy.
Good morning, Fiona.
Happy
Merry
Christmas.
Yes.
It's great to be here, and I've got a great present for you.
Oh, no. Is it like last year's present?
No, look how
Is it
well
better than last year's present?
Look how well it's wrapped, because normally presents in our house don't often get such elaborate wrapping. Quite often my presents come in black bin liners. So yes, this is a lovely present, and it's wrapped with affection, because I think we give presents at Christmas time to show how much we appreciate each other. So I'm going to get you to take the top wrapper off.
Oh, there's more than one wrapper.
Well, you have to just wait and see what goes on underneath.
There is something in here, isn't there?
Well,
This isn't some horrible, nasty joke towards me. It's very nice paper, very Christmassy paper.
Patient and just.
Do you want this paper back?
No, you can enjoy just ripping the paper off.
It's very kind of you. I haven't got you anything.
That's okay.
But I do appreciate it.
It's about giving, not receiving.
That's true. I'll give you yesterday off. How does that sound?
That's great.
Perfect.
So the top layer is Christmas paper. And you do get a sweetie, okay?
Oh, I can just like pass the parcel.
It is.
Marvel superhero. Is this a nod to my superpowers?
Birthday paper, and the reason is that in telling the story of Christmas, really, we give gifts and presents, don't we? But actually what we're really celebrating is the birth of Jesus. And so I love the Marvel superhero paper. Jesus was marvellous and did have amazing powers in order to do miracles and heal people, and yeah, did some wonderful, wonderful things. So I thought the birthday paper was appropriate to celebrate the birth of Jesus. But you can rip it off and keep going. Keep going, because there's a little more of the story to tell.
Oh no,
that's sweet.
Disaster. Oh.
Okay.
Starry paper.
So now you've got paper, and it's very starry. And the reason I put starry paper on, because part of the story is that many people followed that really very special star in order to follow Jesus. And the people who followed to find Jesus were ordinary people like you and me. There were shepherds. There were very clever people, like a lot of the people who we have here in the hospital as well. And they followed the star to find the Jesus child, all part of that nativity story. But keep going, keep ripping. I've spent hours.
Yeah, but you've clearly run out of wrapping paper, because this is just round parcel paper.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing shiny about this, it's just boring and plain. There's not even any chocolate in it.
Oh well, I wonder what we'll learn in the story from that brown paper. It is plain, there's nothing fancy about it. But actually, if we think about what that tells us about Jesus, he was born into very humble beginnings. We know, don't we, as part of our Christmas message, we're referring to the stable, and that part of that Christmas carol, which in the bleak midwinter says, "A stable place sufficed." So a stable was all that Jesus had, and he was born into those beginnings. And eventually, actually, Jesus was a refugee. So that lesson of humility and simplicity is really what the brown paper is telling us about his lifestyle and his beginnings. So go on. I know you're enjoying this, so good.
I am. You know, it's like all the birthdays have come up now. I don't think I really want to look at the newspaper, because newspapers are full of bad news at the minute.
Yeah, but you do get a sweetie.
I do get a sweetie. That's okay then. They are mine, by the way.
But the final layer there is newspaper. Yeah, usually, and as we are in these terrible times that we're in, there's a lot of bad news. There's very little good news in the newspapers. But this bit of this message of the story is that Jesus was good news, and his message of unconditional love, of forgiveness, of peace, of kindness, of generosity, that's the good news of the Christmas message. So whatever's going on in this world around us, there is something that we can go back to in the story of Christmas, the good news message of Jesus and the hope that he brings. So that's why we had the newspaper full of a bit of bad news, but it's a reminder there's still good news in the world, and that's why we're here today trying to spread it around this hospital.
Good news.
Yeah. So what do you get down to now? All right, the cardboard box.
A present.
On the open it. If it'll open from the top, that would be great because there might be something inside.
Food.
Celebrations. Sweeties.
Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. And that's a little bag of celebrations because Christmas is something to celebrate. But I'll take
you brought the box back.
Yeah.
Do you want the paper back as well?
No, it's okay. But I just really, it is something to celebrate. But really, the thing I wanted to point out was, and I'm going to stand just for this little bit to say that that's not the end of the story. So the Christmas is the beginning of that good news, but the story goes on, and Jesus lived among us, and he came to understand our suffering, to know what it was like to live in a hard world full of strife. And he understands what so many people in this hospital are going through in terms of suffering. So the good news begins with the birth, but then Jesus lived and died and gave up himself as a sacrifice on the cross so that he could understand our suffering and then rose again. And that message is for all of us to know that there is hope beyond death. So he came to give that message of hope and the promise of eternal life. So that's why this is now indicating the cross, which we get to at Easter time. And that gives us the great message of eternal life and hope after all the pain and the toil and the suffering. So that's our message for today. That takes us to our stable place, a stable place for us. And you're going to just mention our greeting to everyone in this hospital now as we sign off.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you for my chocolates and presents and for the story that goes with that. And that story continues for each one of us today in the hospitals of community across Newcastle upon Tynes Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust. So from each one of the chaplains across the team, we wish everybody today a safe and blessed journey, that the stable place will suffice for each of you on this day, and that you may know the love that surrounds each one of you and those whom you care for in this place and at home. If you should need the chaplains, we continue to serve 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. May all the blessings of this day and going forward be with each one of you, and thank you very much for who you are.